Ajnanaatimirandasya jnana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Ya Kundend Tushara Javala, Ya Shubhravastra Vrita, Ya Veena Varadandha Manditakara, Ya Shveta Padmasana, Ya Brahma Chuto Shankara Prativi, Vede Sada Vandita, Samam Patu Sarasvati Bhagavati, Bodhi Pradham Sharade, Bodhi Pradham Sharade. Jai Gurudev. So first I have to apologize because I'm quite sick, and I was sick all of yesterday as well. So if my voice is weird or if I'm a bit like this, then that's why. So today we're talking about sakhya bhakti. And sakhya bhakti means the bhakti of friendship, to have the Lord as your friend. And so first I want to talk about what it means to have a friend, what it means to be in a friendship relationship, in its ideal vision, why sometimes we feel like we can't live out that ideal friendship, and how it's different when it comes to God and Guru. You know, friendship is something that by many accounts is usually done through two things. One, feeling, and the other one through convenience. It's a relationship of convenience. And why I say this is because most of the friends we have are very circumstantial. So we have friends when we're at school, we have friends in the workplace, we have friends who live near us, in our neighborhood, for example. And usually you meet your friends as a result of the circumstances in your life, right? You ask yourself why you have the particular set of friends you have and not a different group of people, and the answer is usually, well, those were the ones I met. If I had met a different group, they would be my friends. So you have to accept the first point, that often it is incredibly circumstantial. You don't really pick your friends. They're often provided to you by your life circumstances. Now we could say this is by karma, and therefore it is handpicked, that each person that enters into your life enters because there is a specific need for you and that person to have a connection. That's probably true. But since we can't see that, it doesn't change much. I don't know what karma I do have or don't have. I just know that I'm consistently confronted by people, and at some point in my mind, in my heart, a choice is made. Whether I deepen our relationship to the point where this person is considered my friend. And when I look at my life, and I think of the people who I have given that title to, friend, it's always been people that made me feel good in one way or another. For different reasons and in different ways. But certainly I never gave that title to somebody that did not make me feel good. They usually get a different title. We have to think of a polite word, of course. You know, enemy, whatever. So it is in a way, quite a conditional title, right? Because it's conditioned on a specific set of behaviors. And if people don't have those behaviors, they're almost disqualified from this idea of friendship. But if I choose a friend based on how good they make me feel, and the friend chooses me based on how good I make him feel, then what if we just change the focus? Because it's happening anyway, and that is, I am serving this person. I'm able to serve this person, and that person is able to serve me. And so the friendship becomes a relationship of mutual service, where I'm able to serve you and you're able to serve me in a way that helps both of us. And so I'm no longer focusing on the fact that I'm receiving service from you that is pleasing to me, and you're not focused on the fact that you're receiving service from me. We just changed the focus. Nothing has changed about the relationship. But instead of thinking, I am getting benefit from this person, you think, I am giving benefit to this person. I am serving. Just that change already changes one very, very important dynamic of a friendship. You prioritize what you're bringing to the relationship, what you're contributing to the relationship, over what you're receiving. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't care about what you're receiving. I'm just talking about a prioritization. What are you putting in first place? So when you put your service, your contribution in first place, what starts to happen? You're so caught up and you're so, let's say, focused on your ability to serve and help this person, that whether the person is helping you or serving you almost becomes irrelevant. To the point where you eventually reach a stage where the friendship starts to become less and less mental about, oh, you do this for me, I do this for you. Why do you like this person? Here's my list of reasons. And it just becomes a feeling, a natural feeling that you can't really explain so easily. Why? Because service is the most natural thing that you can do. Because service is not something that you learn to do, it's actually you unlearn. Because service is your natural state of being. The natural state of a soul is to serve. And so when you start to promote this attitude within yourself, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you? In serving, you're actually just returning to your nature. And so anything which is that connected with your natural self feels natural, and therefore is difficult to explain. Things that have a nature are difficult to explain. If I tell you, if you ask me, what is the taste of an orange? How can I explain it to you? Just taste it. Then you'll know what it is. It's acidic. Does it make it any clearer for you if you've never tasted an orange? Not really. Sometimes you just have to get to the essence of a thing, and then you know what it's like. You can't describe it, but you know what it's like. The same thing happens with friendship. Real friendship, when you've tasted it, when you get to that essence of what real friendship is about, you know what it feels like. You can't necessarily list the reasons why this friendship is special, but you certainly feel that way. I am showing you a road to get there. It starts by not demanding. Now you may think, or you may respond to that by saying, what if you're abused in a relationship, in the sense that people use you? They just take service from you consistently and they don't give anything back. This might be controversial, but my answer to that is kind of, so what? You see, that's only a problem if you make it a problem. Why do I say that? Because the people who need something back from that kind of relationship are the people who are lacking something or are missing something. If you're satisfied with what you have, you don't need anything back from these relationships. So you're not going to complain about that, and you've got no problem with that. Again, a bit radical, I understand. But when you start to put the pieces together of the spiritual attitudes that you're trying to cultivate and that you're supposed to have, It's not that crazy. If you start to think about making peace with your life as it is right now, and to stop dreaming of all the things you would like to add onto your life in order to become happy, and instead try your best to be happy with what it already is. If you truly dive into that mentality, what do you need from anyone? Nothing. And that's when you start having your best relationships. Because you don't need anybody. Neither a husband or a wife or a friend, or you can interact with them and you can share with them. You can do all of those things with them, but you don't need them. Because you're happy with what you have. As long as there is the need, as long as there is the feeling that I must get something out of this, otherwise it's not good for me, otherwise it is of no value to me, for example, you're in trouble. Because wherever there is a must, wherever there is a need, there is a huge potential for suffering, for disappointment. Because whenever that need is not met, and your expectation was firmly put there that my needs must be met, then you will suffer. And you will end those relationships. The relationship wasn't good for me anymore. But the funny thing is, I've asked Guruji many times, what's the best thing I can do for my spiritual growth? And he said, serve. Keep serving. In whatever capacity you have in life, find opportunities to serve. That's what he says is the best. I said, Guruji, what is the worst? Desires. To always want. Okay. Again, I'm back in that relationship advice that I'm giving you. Just serve. Think about what you can give to the relationship. Don't worry about what you're getting back. This is against every self-help and life coach advice you're ever going to get in your life. I know. I'm not doing it on purpose, but you know. And again, you look at that and you think, well, isn't that exactly what I'm saying? Isn't that what Guruji is saying? Find something that promotes service. Find an opportunity in your life for you to serve, and don't cultivate desires. When you start to adopt this mentality, I promise you, you'll see the world differently. You'll open your eyes one day and you'll realize, what is there to complain about? And then you'll feel really weird. Because you're not normal anymore. Everybody complains. So if you're not complaining, something's wrong with you. Not with everybody else, because you're the odd one out. And so you'll look for reasons to complain, even though you don't have them, just so that you can fit in, so that you can feel normal again. And then you start demanding things from relationships that you don't really need. And you know you don't need. But you'll ask for them because someone else asked for it, and you read it in a magazine, or you saw it in a movie, or your friend told you about it, and you go, yeah, maybe I should do the same. But when you sit by yourself and you feel and you really go inside, you know you're happy as you are. And you know that putting these expectations on other people to make you full or happy or complete or whatever is nonsense. Deep down you know it's nonsense. You know these people can't make you happy. They can partake in your happiness. They can share their happiness with you as you share your happiness with them. But they're not going to give you something that you don't have. This is a lie. They may point at something you haven't found inside yourself. Yes, but you do have it. You've always had it. And you know that deep down. Now, when you start to think like this, and when you start to change your behaviors, there will be a phase in which all of your friendships will come under scrutiny from your own mind. It means they'll come under heavy analysis. You'll look at all of your friendships, all of your relationships in your life, and you'll rethink them. Are they created on the right foundation? Am I doing this for the right reasons? Is this truly good for me or not? And it can be quite a heavy experience, because you might come to the conclusion that none of them are good for you. You might come to the conclusion that they're all good for you. I don't know. Each life is very different, right? But what are some of the fears that we have in friendships? Some of the problems, I don't like the word problems, but obstacles. What are they? Fear of losing your friend. True. And why might you lose a friend? Death, of course, is one reason, the obvious reason. Why else might you lose a friend? That horrible stuff. If you tell them or you do something that they don't want to hear or see, right? Any other reason you might lose a friend? Betrayal. Another horrible one. These are all true statements. You go different directions. You lose that commonality. You lose the thing which originally brought you together. Many friendships are already like that. You form a friendship that is strong based on the circumstances of your life at the beginning of that friendship, but the people have moved on so differently, but they cling on to this notion of friendship even though really there's almost nothing uniting these people anymore. I mean, that often happens, right? But okay, we discussed some of the reasons here. Death, betrayal, brutal honesty, natural parting of ways. But what does that fear change in our behaviors towards these friends? Does it promote sincerity or does it promote falsehood in us? You see, very often it makes us fake. Because in trying to protect that friendship, in trying to maintain that relationship, we change who we would like to be. Because we're afraid that if I really behaved like I would like to behave, if I really said what was on my mind, and if I really showed you how I feel inside, that you would walk away from me. And again, as controversial as that might be, so what? If you have nothing that you need, people can walk away all day long. You're fine. If you're at peace with yourself. If you're not at peace with yourself, please come back. You'll do everything to hold on to them. Even sacrifice your beliefs, sacrifice your values, sacrifice your integrity, your sincerity. I've done that multiple times. Especially in my teenage years, this was the best time to sacrifice your values. You'll do anything to keep your right friends. Sometimes you don't even like them, but it's important to have the right people as your friends. So I know that people do this, and people continue to do it to this day. And in Bhakti Marga, it's absolutely not different. There are some people that it's very useful to have as friends. They're usually wearing orange. Sorry, it's the truth, isn't it? But you live long enough and you start to see through that, right? Everybody does. Because you can only be fake for so long towards yourself before you get tired of it. Lying is a really tiring thing. It's the most tiring thing. Because you have to remember every lie you ever told, and to whom you told it, and when you told it, and in what order you told them. It's terrible. And you have to know who is friends with who. So if I tell the truth to this one, who might they tell that might tell the other one, that might tell the other one, that eventually gets to the wrong ears? Very messy. Yes? Depends what motivates it. So being in silence is not a lie, but it depends for what reason you're in silence. You see, if you're in silence out of fear, you're lying to yourself. If you're in silence out of consideration for the other person, out of respect, and there are many circumstances in which that might be the reason why you stay silent, that's perfectly fine. So you have to always see the motivation behind it. It's not the act itself. Just like telling a brutal truth, for example. What she said earlier, you might tell something to your friend that they don't want to hear. That might be wrong. It depends why you're doing it. If you're doing it to put them down, or if you're doing them out of jealousy, if you're doing it to harm them, if you're doing it because you think you know best, etc., etc., this is not a good thing. The truth, despite being the truth, can be used as a weapon, right? And that doesn't make it right. But if it's done constructively, and if it's done sincerely, out of care, and only you know this, only you know what your intention truly is. Whether the person receives it in that way or not is something else. But only you truly know why you're saying what you're saying. And if you're truly saying something, even if it's a very harsh truth, but you're saying it because you genuinely care for this person, and the only reason why you're saying it is because you want them to improve their situation, then I think that's perfectly valid. And it's not wrong. But for the other reason, I would say it's wrong. So, yeah, silence can be good, can be bad. It depends on your motivation. So, this fear in relationships, which fuels this falsehood in ourselves, that we start to become fake, trying to please people, it's the first thing that you want to get rid of, but you don't know how. All of you would love to be more sincerely yourselves than what you are right now. I'm sure of it. Nobody doesn't want to be themselves. They just want to find a way to do it that causes them the least amount of harm, that they have to sacrifice the least amount of things. Because most people, when they try to be sincere, they start realizing that when you do that, when you flip that switch, you start losing certain things. Relationships, friendships, sometimes jobs, business opportunities, all kinds of things. There was one devotee who was sponsored by many famous brands and was doing nutrition as her job. And so her sponsors wanted her to promote meat products. She became a devotee. And so the minute she would sincerely say, well, look, I'm vegetarian now, what she was going to lose? Her sponsors, right? And it was a struggle. It was an internal struggle, because it's like that's your means of survival. It's your salary, right? But hey, it's your life. Prioritize. Coherence between your values and what you do with your life, or your salary. Or, revolutionary idea, find a different income source that doesn't make you sacrifice your values. So, you're often confronted with the loss way before you're confronted with the gain by being honest and sincere with people. And now I want to bring this conversation to Guruji, because Guruji is my best friend, but he's a highly unconventional friend. But in being an unconventional friend, he makes me a better friend to everyone else that I choose to be a friend to, because of the way he relates to me in that friendship, and how I can then extend that mentality to everyone else in my life. So in my friendship with Guruji, is there this fear that he will abandon me? No. I'm not afraid that he will abandon me. Maybe I was in the beginning, before I witnessed enough of who he is as a person to understand that he doesn't work that way. Okay? So I'm not afraid of him walking away. I have made many mistakes in my life. He has never walked away. I've been brahmachari 2 times. I've been rishi 2 times. This doesn't happen unless you mess up the first time. In both times. Hopefully I'll only be a Swami 1 time. No change from his side. Right? Still was there for me the whole time, supporting me, showing me with those brutal truths what I could improve on. So he's the person that never had any issue looking me in my face and saying, you know, you're really arrogant. Now, it's fully on me how I choose to respond to that. I can be like, so are you, right? It's all a point of view, I guess. Or I could say, thanks. Any advice on how I can get rid of that? And then amazingly, he goes, yeah, actually I do. And then he gives me advice. So is he doing it to hurt me, or is he doing it to help me? The same thing I said to you, right? And all I need to do is pay close enough attention, observe close enough, and you can see the intention. And when you observe people, and when you feel people, and when you live enough of that experience with people, you start to see the intention of the things that are happening in the relationship or not. And I never got the feeling from Guruji that any of the harsh things he said to me throughout our friendship was just to cause me pain or just to put me down. No. It was always corrective. It's, look, you're doing this. It's not good. You need to be doing this. Now, you may say that amongst friends, do we really have the right to do that to each other? Maybe not. Because friendships is not a guru-disciple relationship, right? Like my parents, they would like to give me advice from time to time. Nice for them. I didn't necessarily ask for it, right? With Guruji, of course, that's the whole game. I signed up for it. I asked him from the beginning, be my guru, therefore, it's incumbent in that you're going to correct me. That's what I'm looking for. So I can't then complain that he's giving me too much advice, that he's pointing out too many of my flaws. That's what I signed up for. So again, I understand the circumstances of the relationship. Would you say that understanding each other is one of the most fundamental qualities of a good relationship? Right? So if I now tell you, I'll come to you in a second, if I now tell you to be unapologetically, 100% sincere and open in your friendship with Guruji, what you are likely to tell me is, but we can't. Because I can't just walk up to him and give him a hug, or I can't just walk up to him and say, I want to spend all day with you, etc., etc. So even though I may open my heart and say, I'm going to 100% be authentic in my wishes for this relationship, that's not going to be the reality. But that's why I ask for that second quality, which is understanding. You need to understand the nature of the relationship. You need to understand the nature of his life. Look at him right now in this festival. How many people are here? 1,000? More? Imagine if every single person went to him and said the same thing. I want to spend all day with you. Just me and you. Like best friends. Can he do that? It's not possible. Then comes the second problem. Everything that is lived out between you and him out here is in a shared reality. It's not a private reality between you and him. It means everybody else sees that. Everybody else is part of that. Which means it affects other people. I know that very well. He has given me a proximity that I'm eternally grateful for throughout my life with him. But it doesn't mean that throughout that relationship, I have not been the target of a lot of jealousy. Do I understand the people? Of course I do. I'm not pointing the finger. I understand. But it is a fact. It's a very uncomfortable situation to be in. And so the more he acts these things out here, the more these dynamics start to come up in the Sangha. Jealousy, comparison, judgment. Why him? Why not me? Why her? Why not me? But this one did that, this one did this, and he's spending time with them, and I've been doing service for the last 3 years, and he doesn't spend time with me? How many times I've had to hear these arguments? Explain that to me, Swamiji, since you're so clever. You want me to explain to you why the Guru chooses to give attention to one devotee more than another on the outside? How on earth can I explain that to you? I'm not your Guru. For the very same answer I gave to the Prabhu here, that your intention changes everything, so does Guruji's. Do you know why he's spending time with that person? Might be an answer. It might be the opposite. The same reason you can use the truth as a weapon to harm somebody, you can use it to help somebody, right? Same thing. He might be with somebody because they're so messed up, they are so problematic, that unless he is with them, there's no way of them getting fixed in this lifetime. Don't assume that just because he's with somebody, it's because they're very pleasing to him, or because he has a great time with them. It's not true. I always tell this story. I was following Guruji for 5 years already. I was a young boy. And he turns to me after a wonderful trip in Portugal and says, "I'm going to miss you." And I said, "You're going to miss me?" It was the first time he ever said something like this to me. Now, I had said that to him many times. "Oh, I'm going to miss you, Guruji." And he says to me, "Oh, yeah, whatever." Right? And after this trip, he says to me, "I'm going to miss you." And I said, wow. I felt a little warmth in the heart, you know. And he says to me, "You know, for the first time ever, I really enjoyed your company." It's just what I was saying. Did I know that for the first 5 years he wasn't enjoying my company? No, I didn't know. Did anybody else know that? No, they didn't know either. Because the assumption is, if you're with Guruji, it means he loves it, he enjoys it. Right? It's not so simple, it's not black and white like that. Which leads me to my next point. Sorry. Which is that the biggest mistake you can do in assessing your relationship, your friendship with Guruji and with God, is to measure it based on your external circumstances. I know it's hard not to, but it's the biggest mistake you will ever do, I promise you. To assume that Guruji is distant from you because he doesn't physically interact with you is to strip away from him everything that makes him different from every other person. It's to take away from him everything that makes him special. The whole point why I can sit here and recommend all of you to surrender to him is because he can be with you, supporting you, helping you, holding you, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what you're doing in your lives. He doesn't need to be with you physically. If he would, then I couldn't sit here and recommend this to you. Please make a relationship with him. But Swamiji, we will only see him once every 2 years. Oh well, right? It doesn't work like that. It is because I know he is with you all the time. If you open yourself to that, that I can sit here and recommend to make a relationship with him and to make him into your best friend. I longed, it was my greatest wish, to hear Guruji say the words to me, "You are my friend." To me. He did even better. I remember the day I was in his kitchen, I was peeling peanuts for him. Very important seva. Peeling the peanuts, and he comes to me and he says, "Am I your friend?" And I said, "You're my best friend." "Am I your friend?" And he says, "You're my best friend too." Best? Ego, pew, like all the way, because best means best. Best doesn't mean like, best doesn't mean top 5 or, you know. So I quickly left the room before he could change his mind. At least leave this conversation as it was. You can tell me later that, I kind of like you, but that's later. That's a different conversation. At least we had one. But why I'm telling this story is because that same day, I wasn't in his house. Somebody else was. And my name came up in the conversation, and Guruji was talking about me to this person. And this person afterwards told me what Guruji said. And one thing I know from Guruji is, if he's going to say anything nice about you, 99 times out of 100, he's going to say it to someone else. He's not going to say it to you. To your face, he'll say 99 times out of 100 horrible things. Egoistic, selfish, useless, arrogant, proudful, blah, blah, blah. Maybe one time out of 100, you're a nice person. Something like this. But even then, very careful. Like, you're quite nice. Like, doesn't want to go too far. But he'll say things about you to other people. And so this person came to me and they said the following. I had a really emotional conversation with Guruji tonight. And I said, what happened? I asked him if he could be my friend. And he said to me, I am your friend. I always have been and I always will be. But you are not my friend. And I cried and I said, why not? I really try. And he said, then why do you lie to me all the time? Friends don't lie. And this person didn't understand. They said, what do you mean? I don't lie to you. And he said, you do. Whenever you're with me, you act very holy. You act very spiritual. You act very proper. But you forget that I see you every second. And I know how you are when I'm not around. You're not sincere with me. You are a different person. So you lie. Who are you really? You don't even know. You have not made your mind up who you want to be. So for now, you are not my friend. And I said, okay, I can try to help you with this. And he said, but then he said to me, this is what I appreciate about Revati. He might be arrogant, but he's arrogant in front of me also. He might make stupid jokes and talk about nonsense things, but he makes the same jokes and the same nonsense things in front of me also. Yes, he has things to improve, but he is the same. With me or without me. Now, for me, it was very nice to hear that. But this person in front of me was crying, so I couldn't be too happy with it, right? I was like, oh. Of course. But sincerely now, it brought me immediately back to a very special conversation I had with Guruji years before, where he asked me that question. And there's a reason why I'm like that. There's a reason why I'm consistent. And it's true, I am. He said to me, if God would appear to you right now in front of you, what would you do? Would you change your behavior? Would you change the way you are? And I think in that moment, it was years and years ago, I said yes. I would try to be very respectful and very proper. And he shook his head and he was disappointed and he said, you come back to me when that answer is no. Now, of course, what did that mean? Should I bring my savage behavior to God? Or should I bring my behavior in front of God to the rest of my life? Probably it's that one. I should bring the God behavior to the rest of my life. But it's not so easy. So I made a deal with God. I said, we'll go somewhere in the middle. I will be respectful and I will be good with a little bit of savagery. Not too much. Just some drops here and there. But I'll be the same. With you, without you. And ever since I did that, I have a very, 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 very special relationship with Guruji. And it's got nothing to do with time that I spend with him. It's that when I'm with him, when I feel him through sadhana, through anything, I feel him, I interact with him without any pretense, without any masks, without any fakery, without any fear. And so it feels 10 times more real than any other interaction I had with him before that. When I was always with him, but hoping he wasn't looking into my mind. Hoping he wasn't watching me last weekend. Hoping he didn't hear the conversation that I just had with, Bobby Das over there. Right? And as long as I had those fears, I hope he's not watching me, I could never truly be myself with him, and I could never be free. and he couldn't be free with me. And so it's a very, like this relationship, Guruji. And less from the heart. And so, sakhya bhakti, you can't lose the word bhakti. It's sakhya, friendship, but it's devotion through friendship. It's bhakti through friendship, which means that you give yourself. Devotion is to give yourself. So I give myself as I am to Guruji. Take it or leave it. So far he takes it. But you have to be comfortable with the version of yourself that you're giving. I don't say just give whatever is there. You need to make your mind up of who do I want to be. Work on yourself to become as close as possible to that version that you would like to be, and then offer that. And then, by extension, do the same with everybody else in your life. Offer to your friends that same version of yourself. So all my friends, they know that I will give them my heart and I will be caring to them. But I'm also not available for them 24/7. Because I like to keep my own time also. That's me, authentically. And there's no friend who's going to get it any different. They all know it, and they all had to swallow it. Because that's how it is. But they know every interaction they have with me, it's real. He's not trying to please me right now by being something that he is not. And in bhakti, how many times have you sat and heard Guruji talk about sincerity? Right? He always talks about sincerity. I'm just giving one advice, and that is, don't use sincerity as an excuse to offer what is there right now, because maybe you can still improve it. But once you feel comfortable with what you've got to offer, then just offer it. Make your peace with it. Live that sincerity. And let go of the insecurity which constantly makes you second guess yourself. Am I good enough? Does God love me? Do I need to change? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? Stop this. Stop this. You will never please everybody. Never. But the coolest thing is that you really, in one way, only need to please yourself in the depth of your sincerity, not the superficial self. In the depth of your heart, you need to feel comfortable with who you are, because Guruji, he'll love you any way you are. That's why he's amazing, because his love is unconditional. But you need to make peace with yourself. And then expand that version of yourself to everybody without condition. Stop the faking, stop the acting, stop the fear. Unapologetically be yourself, but not from a space of arrogance. I am how I am, screw the world. That's not what I'm saying, although Guruji did say hell to people on Guru Purnima, which I contemplated tattooing on my arm, but it's the second year in a row he says that on Guru Purnima, you know that? The year before he said the same thing, to hell with people, and I was like, oh, you really are my Guru, I love you. Of course, it's in a context, right? But not from a space of arrogance that says to hell with people, but from a space of acceptance, from comfort and sincerity. And from there, if you manage to do this, every single relationship you have in your life will get better. But most importantly, the most important relationship in your life will get better. And that's the one with Guruji. That even if you just have one interaction with him per year, it'll be a fantastic interaction. You'll feel good about it. You know what sucks? When you have one interaction with him per year and you feel guilty the whole interaction. Because you're ashamed of what he's looking at. Because you're ashamed of what you're hiding. And don't think people don't have those interactions too. They do. And you can see it all over their face. So if even I can see it, I'm sure Guruji can see it too. Jacob.